No, I don't think any points of clarification. I think I find this one actually extremely difficult because I think we needed to have that site visit in order to understand the relationship of the front boundary with the public realm, so to speak, with the pavements and the strip of grass and the road. I think we needed to see that, and I think we also needed to establish the levels of the houses, because that I think also is significant. I do find it difficult because the reason for refusal is to do with scale, density, massing, whether or not it conforms to the pattern as currently exists. And in actual fact, I don't see really particularly that what is proposed there would be totally outside the realms of what you could expect to see in Lochfoot. So that actually I was wobbling about. But you then take into account the other issue, which is quite clearly within our policies, is about the parking. And we do, if I've got this right, I do need clarification. We require, as a matter of policy, that there should be 2 parking spaces and room for turning. What exactly do our policies say with respect to that?
There isn't a specific planning policy about the number of parking spaces as such. There is a roads policy, and that's why on page 245 of the agenda you've got the comments of the roads officer on that. The normal appropriate standard is 2 off-street parking spaces and a turning space within the curtilage for every new house. So effectively, that is the roads requirement, which planning officers will due heed of when consultation comes from. It's not actually a planning policy. General policy 2 looks at issues such as that parking.
So we're really saying that we would never build terraced housing then without off-street parking. Is that what we would say with respect to our current?
Well, with terrace housing, you would look for communal parking adjacent, which is equally acceptable, but certainly where you've got detached or semi-detached houses, it's the normal requirement to have in-view parking, in other words, parking within that garden. Terraced and flat, obviously, it's not so easy to provide them, so a communal parking is normally required.
Councillor McComb. Thank you, Chair. I see a problem with parking and turning. The proposal indicated a garden area close to the entry point to the site. Were that garden area not there, I feel there is sufficient space, park, and turn. Having looked at the site, I feel you could park a vehicle and manoeuvre it to come out straight onto the road. You may not do it in a 3-point manoeuvre. It may require a 4-point turn, but I'm quite satisfied it could be done.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to ask about is the issue of, which I believe actually that you pointed out, which is the proximity of the side elevation to number 1, Chairman, with respect, because we're talking about 11 metres, I think the papers talk about between 11 and 12 metres. And my understanding is that there is an issue there. It's not specified in the papers. And I would like again to ask about that issue, because it's not specified in the papers, and yet it is close.
Yes, if we could get the slides back up, please. Sorry, I'll I think this shot maybe shows the issues that you were looking at on site. The window on the ground floor that would have the most impact in terms of overlooking is obviously the one that you see there on the left-hand side. You would, to satisfactorily screen between that and the proposed lounge window, you would need to have a fence that would go really pretty much the full height of that ground floor window. So you're probably talking about a 3-metre high, at least, boundary fence to get rid of that privacy issue. Obviously, I'm aware that the current applicant is looking for this to be their new house and their daughter take over the existing house. But in the longer term, there would be that tension between properties that would no longer have that same tie. So you would be looking to have, if you're minded to approve it, I would suggest a condition that's looking for a boundary enclosure that is going to provide screening between these two. Or the alternative is seeking the deletion of that patio door altogether by condition, which is the only other way I could think of doing that. But obviously that's maybe a bit extreme given what you've actually got before you is what's being sought.
Yeah, can I come back? Okay, but I go back again to policies, because the only way to deal with things like this is to do with policies. And you know, if we don't have specific policy talking about distance, then what do we rely on? Because that strikes me as being important. I mean, quite apart from what will happen visually with respect to that streetscape, if you insist upon a condition such as if we can wish to have a condition, if we agree this.
You do have policies in as far as what's being mentioned here in the second ground for refusal. You've got General Policy 1, which is development principles, and 7A, which is citing design having regard to the character, appearance, scale, density, massing, materials, etc., etc. So you're introducing a potential conflict between them. So there's policy there. And then 9B is also mentioned as well, which is to do with small-scale infill, which is the policy you'd normally look for a few split. You're putting another house in there. And that requires it to conform with or enhance the inherent character and layout of the locality. So if you're going to be introducing windows which are really close like this, you are changing that character. So there are policy rules. As I was mentioning on site, the actual 18-metre window-to-window distance policy is something which dates back to 1981. It's not enshrined in the development plan, but it is still a practice which is in constant use.
Okay. Well, I think we should sort of bite the bullet on this one. I thought, I have to say, when I first looked at this and wanted a site visit, I thought I was going to be able to say that I don't think we should agree with this. But I'm afraid, having been along there and considered the issue of the windows, a condition which we would, I think, require, because while it doesn't matter at the moment, neither the parking nor the window distance matters at the moment in the way that the applicant is intending to use this. It could in the future, and I think we've got to consider planning, not for now, but for the whole time, which is, we're talking about planning in general. I'm afraid, although I understand, and I'm not unsympathetic, I'm afraid to say I think that we should go with the recommendation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at General Policy 7A. having regard to the character, appearance, scale, density, etc. Now, I noticed the boundary with number 2 is only going to be, is it 1.2 metres?
Yes, I think that's shown on page 275. You can see that the building would actually be 1.2 metres off the mutual boundary.
Mm-hmm. Would that be regarded as acceptable? It strikes me as a very, very narrow separation distance between a property, a house, and the neighbouring property. 1.2 metres. I have reservations in that respect.
Well, I can only refer to the fact that the appointed officer clearly came to the view that it wasn't acceptable, which is why it was refused.
I think, Chair, on that basis, reluctantly, I would have to concur with Mrs. Maitland. I do not think it passes all the tests for acceptability.
But I think that's struggle to get the second one. I think there was possibly an argument. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I can confirm that the full review body are agreeing to uphold the decision of the appointed officer to refuse